well, I guess it's just the guys in the audience. Welcome to my Unchained deck profile. This is something I had promised after doing my update video. If you haven't seen that, go check it out. I do mention some stuff that I want to do on my channel, but I definitely want to get back into the swing of things. I was ill, I had a pretty bad ear infection, which made me very drained and unenergetic. So YouTube kind of took a back seat, but I'm feeling a lot better now and I want to get back into making videos. So what way to start with Unchained deck profile? So this deck profile isn't very different to a lot of other deck profiles recently, but there is some things I do want to talk about this deck. So starting off with the main deck Unchained monsters, we have 3 Aruha, 3 Rakea, 3 Sarama, 1 Disaster, and 2 Abominable Unchained Soul. You guys, if you're watching this, you probably know what this deck does already, so I'm not going to go over the effects again, but just know if they're destroyed, they do stuff. I really love the idea of floating with this deck, and they just have some really cool interactions. I think this is quite a standard lineup for the Unchained monsters that you do play in this deck. Moving on to the quote-unquote hand traps of this deck, I'm playing 2 Godala, the Mystery Dust Kaiju. The reason for this is because of
Bird up!
Hello! They obviously play that Wind Barrier statue, which locks you into wind monsters. So being able to tribute over that to get rid of it, making you able to actually play the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Kaijus are really good also just because of Dragoon, which we have a hard time trying to out in this deck, but there is something that I am testing online, which I'll mention later on when we get to it. For the actual hand traps, we play 3 Ash, 2 Ghost Bell, and 2 Skullmeisters. I feel like these are the best hand traps for the format, especially Ghost Bell and Skullmeister, dealing a lot of damage to the Eldritch and even Virtual World. Next up are the spells, so we add in we play 3 of the Abomination's Prison, just searches an Unchained card, 3 of the Pot of Extravagance. You can also play the new pot card. It's something I haven't tested myself, but we don't really care too much about our extra deck. We can OTK with just our main deck, but you definitely need a draw card. If you can't get this card for whatever reason, I definitely recommend playing Pot of Desires instead. You do play a lot of Freos in this deck. Just be wary. If you are going to play Desires, you may have to bump up your copies of Disaster to 3 because you do not want to banish this card. So I do also play 2 Cosmic Cyclone and 1 Raigeki. The reason I play 1 Raigeki is because I can't find my third copy of Cosmic Cyclone, and you'll actually be impressed how many boards this can out on its own. So I may even try playing with the Lightning Storms as well. So something else I did want to mention, I did say I did have an outro to Dragoon, which I put it on the screen. It is the Psychic Eraser Laser. You basically just send a card your opponent controls to the graveyard. They gain that attack or defense, whatever's highest, so can be quite risky in game 3 if you're going into time, but it's a great way to out Dragoon and other problematic cards. Because I actually don't have many copies of that card, I'm just playing evenly for now. This is still a really good card because of back row decks, especially with like Eldritch. You want to make sure to just banish all their resources. Kind of same with Virtual World, although they already have their graveyard loaded up, but still a really strong card for sure. The final traps for the deck are the 3 Abominable Chamber and 3 Escape of the Unchained. Basically, they're just good to destroy them with your Unchained monsters. They also have some really great effects. I played a Virtual World player where I was able to pop their face-up spell trap because they used the effect in hand. I think it was like Lulu or one of them anyway, and I blew it up on my own Unchained monster, so their effect fizzled out, and then I was able to go into the Abominable big one, the Abominable Unchained Soul, and was able just to remove something else from their field, so they literally had no follow-up plays. These are really cool traps. I wish they got rarity bumped in some way, but yeah, maybe next year or in some OTS packs. going into the extra deck, again, we don't play, or we play Pot of Extravagance, so we do have to play quite a few multiples of. Those multiple ofs for me include 2 Unchained Abomination, 3 Unchained Soul of Anguish, and 3 Unchained Soul of Rage. Really great cards for removing some problematic cards, as long as they can be targeted. But usually you'll be linking up into stuff like the Nightmare Unicorn with Rage on your opponent's turn to spin something. And then just for the quote-unquote one-offs of the deck, I only got 1 access code talker. If I had to, I would definitely play 2. It's a great way to end games as well. And then some techie cards, Topologic Zero Burrows. There's quite a lot of banishing in this game currently, especially with Virtual World. And Pot of Extravagance, if we resolve 2 using the most cards we can banish, this can be pumped up to something quite strong. Also, Trisbania, back row decks, actually won me a game against Virtual World, being able to special something, I think it was like a Ruha, to its zone, and banish all my opponent's spell traps and burn for 1,000, which was enough to win the game. Then 1 Dingirsu to also out Dragoon. We do play the level 8, so can be easily made, but not all of the time. And I also got Jar Jar just as another Dragoon out, but I would probably replace this for another access card. But it's an easier Dingirsu to make, even though you're going to take a little bit of battle damage with this. Finally, into the side deck, I'm still testing some of the cards. I got Dark Ruler no more in here, but this would be in place of Evenly Match if I had the Psychic Eraser Laser. For the main deck, I feel it's still pretty good of a card because there are some pretty heinous combo boards that you do see out there, but Bird Up having, say, the Apex Avian, Windbarrow Statue, Smorg Link. So I guess it does kind of have its place in certain matchups, but it'd be evenly matched if I had the main deck card for it. So I also play 3D Barriers, stupidly good card. If I was playing the Going First variant, which I'll hopefully have a video up for you guys soon about that, I definitely play this in the main. It stops a lot of decks out there like Phantom Knights by calling XCs, Heroes by calling Fusions, and more. Such a good card, in my opinion. Same with the Transmigration Prophecy. I was able to banish some resources from a Virtual World player's graveyard with this card, so really strong as well. This format, something I also do play in the main. I'm going to stop telling you what I play in the main of my Going First build. 2 Heavy Storm Dusters if I'm going up against a Going First spell trap heavy deck. I can go first myself, set this, wait for them to set cards, and then just pop those cards so I can play a bit more freely. 2 Torrential Tribute, not a lot of cards can play after you use this interruption. And finally, another Spell and Trap removal and Trap Trick just to search any of the traps depending on your matchup. So that was my Unchained deck profile. I hope you guys got some really good ideas from this deck. If there were some changes you would make personally to your own decks, leave them down in the comments. I always like to see what other people are playing in their own builds. If you can leave this video a like, I'd greatly appreciate that. And also, please consider subscribing if you want to see more deck profiles like this. As I said, I do want to make a Going First variant for Unchained, and I do want to release some other deck profiles, including Evil Twin, Phantom Knights, Thunder Dragons, Cyber Dragons. Basically any deck that I have, I'll be uploading a deck profile for those too. If you have something specific, I hate that word, that you want to see, leave them down in the comments as well. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope you have a great Valentine's Day.